How money actually works is one of the most important lessons you can ever learn, yet it's the one thing almost nobody is taught in school. Most people grow up believing money is something you earn from a job, spend on your needs and wants, and hopefully save a little if anything is left over. But that mindset keeps people locked in a cycle of working harder without ever getting ahead. The truth is, money is not just a tool for transactions, it's a system, a game, and if you don't understand the rules, you'll always be on the losing side. Money works for those who know how to control it, and it works against those who let it slip through their hands. The first truth about money is that it flows. It never stays still. It either flows toward you or away from you. When you earn money, you have a choice: let it flow out immediately on liabilities and consumption, or direct it into things that will bring more money back to you later. Too many people treat money like a temporary guest, something that visits their account briefly before it disappears into bills, lifestyle upgrades, and impulse purchases. But those who understand how money works treat it like an employee. Every dollar has a job. Some dollars pay for necessities, but others must be put to work so they can bring back more dollars. That's the foundation of building wealth, understanding that money can either be spent once or invested to grow many times over. Another reality is the concept of compounding. Compounding is where money truly shows its power. A dollar invested wisely doesn't just grow by the amount you put in, it grows exponentially because the gains start earning gains of their own. Most people underestimate this because in the early years it looks small, but over time it becomes unstoppable. This is why starting early and being consistent beats waiting until you feel ready. A person who invests small amounts over decades can end up with far more than someone who invests larger amounts later in life. The rule is simple: the earlier you understand compounding, the more money works for you instead of you working for money forever. Money also works through leverage. Leverage is about using resources beyond just your own effort. When you rely only on your time and labor, your income is capped by the hours in your day. But when you use leverage, whether that's investing, building systems, or creating assets that generate income, you multiply your efforts. For example, owning stocks, real estate, or a business allows money to flow in even when you're not actively working. This is why wealthy people seem to have an easier time getting richer. 8. They've learned to put leverage and systems to work while others remain stuck trading hours for dollars. Another crucial part of understanding money is recognizing how debt works. Debt can be a tool or a trap. When used recklessly, like financing consumer goods or living beyond your means, it becomes a shackle that drains your future earnings. But when used strategically, like borrowing to buy an asset that generates income, it can accelerate your wealth. 8. The difference comes down to whether debt is tied to something that makes money or something that loses value. 8. Understanding this difference is a skill that separates those who struggle with money from those who use it to build wealth. 8. Perhaps the biggest shift in understanding how money works is realizing it's emotional as much as it is mathematical. People don't just spend money logically, they spend based on feelings, status, and impulse. Companies know this and exploit it, which is why so many people stay broke while working hard. Once you realize that money is controlled not only by numbers but also by discipline and mindset, you begin to see why financial education matters more than income level. 2. People can make the same salary, yet one stays trapped while the other builds wealth. 2. The 48, simply because one knows how to control money while the other lets money control them. Money isn't complicated once you learn the rules, but ignoring those rules guarantees you'll stay stuck. It's not about how much you make, it's about how you direct, grow, and multiply what you make. That's how money actually works. It rewards those who respect it, control it, and put it to work, and it punishes those who treat it as something to spend without a plan. The power of budgeting and cash flow is one of the most underrated financial skills Yet it's the one that separates people who stay broke from those who build lasting wealth. Too many people dismiss budgeting as boring, restrictive, or unnecessary, but in reality, it's the single most effective way to take control of your money. Without a budget, your money controls you. With a budget, you control your money. Cash flow, the movement of money in and out of your life, is the heartbeat of your financial health. And if you don't track it, you're essentially blindfolded while trying to build wealth. Most people think budgeting means cutting out all fun and living on scraps, but that's the wrong picture. A budget isn't about saying no to everything. It's about telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. Every dollar has a direction, a purpose. 48, and an assignment. When you budget, you're not just tracking what you spend, you're building a map for your future. You're deciding what's truly important and eliminating the waste that holds you back. Without that clarity, it's too easy for small leaks to sink your financial ship. $5 here, $20 there, monthly subscriptions you don't even use. All of these nibble away at your income until you wonder why your bank account is always empty. Cash flow is even more important because it shows whether you're moving forward or backward. Positive cash flow means you're earning more than you spend, and that surplus is what allows you to save, invest, and grow wealth. Negative cash flow means you're spending more than you earn, and that gap forces you into debt just to survive. The tragedy is that most people don't even know where they stand because they never take the time to measure it. They look at their paycheck, they look at their bills, but they don't track the daily and weekly movements that add up. Cash flow awareness isn't just about surviving, it's about creating the margin that makes freedom possible. One of the hidden benefits of budgeting is that it builds discipline. It forces you to face the truth about your spending habits. 48. A lot of people don't want to budget because they're afraid of what they'll see. They don't want to confront the fact that they're spending hundreds on takeout, entertainment, or impulse buys. But that awareness is exactly what creates change. You can't fix what you don't measure. When you start budgeting, you shine a light on the blind spots, and once you see them, you can make intentional choices. That's how small adjustments, cutting wasteful habits and redirecting that money, turn into massive results over time. Budgeting also creates peace of mind. 8. Money stress often comes not from the amount you earn, but from the uncertainty of not knowing whether you'll have enough. A budget eliminates that uncertainty. 8. It gives you a plan for every bill, every expense, and every goal. Instead of constantly worrying about how to make ends meet, you know exactly where you stand. That clarity lowers stress, improves decision making, and helps you stay focused on long-term goals rather than short-term panic. Another powerful aspect of budgeting is how it ties directly into building wealth. When you master cash flow, you create room for saving and investing. That positive gap, the difference between what you earn and what you spend, is the fuel for financial growth. Without a budget, most people let that gap disappear. But with a budget, you protect it and expand it. That gap is what pays down debt faster, builds an emergency fund, and starts growing into real wealth through investments. The bigger you make that gap, the faster you move toward financial independence. The truth is, nobody gets rich by accident. Every wealthy person understands their cash flow 8-4P. Whether they call it that or not, they know what's coming in, what's going out, and how much is left to put toward building assets. 48. They don't just hope there's money left at the end of the month. They design their lives so that there is. That's the power of budgeting and cash flow. It's not glamorous, it's not flashy, but it's the foundation on which every other financial skill is built. Without it, you're guessing. With it, you're in control. The hidden trap of debt is one of the most destructive forces in personal finance, and the reason it's so dangerous is because it feels normal. Debt has been dressed up by banks, credit card companies, and lenders as something harmless, even helpful, when in reality it's a chain around your financial future. Schools never taught you how debt actually works, and that's why so many people fall into it so easily. They think it's just a tool to get what they want now and pay for it later. But what they don't realize is that later often costs 2 or 3 times more. Debt is designed to keep you paying forever, and the people who don't see that end up trapped in a cycle they can't escape. At its core, debt robs you of freedom. 48. When you owe money, a portion of your future income already belongs to someone else. You haven't even worked for it yet, and it's already spent. That means every decision you make, whether it's changing jobs, taking a risk, or starting a business, is limited by the fact that you owe. Debt doesn't just take money out of your pocket, it takes options out of your life. It locks you into obligations that keep you working for your creditors instead of working for yourself. The irony is that people take on debt to feel free in the short term, but end up less free in the long run. The other trap is interest. Interest is the silent enemy that grows when you're not looking. Lenders make it easy to borrow, but they structure it so that if you only make minimum payments, your balance hardly moves. You think you're making progress, but in reality, you're just covering the interest while the principal stays almost the same. That's why so many people carry the same debt for years, even decades. They don't realize that the system is designed to keep them paying as long as possible. What started as a manageable purchase turns into thousands of extra dollars drained from your pocket, all because of compounding interest working against you instead of for you. Debt also creates a false sense of security. Having access to credit makes people feel like they have money, when in reality, they don't. Swiping a card or financing a purchase gives you the illusion of wealth, but it's borrowed wealth. You don't own it, you owe it. And when something goes wrong, like a job loss or an emergency, that false security collapses, leaving you with nothing but bills you can't pay. This is why debt keeps people poor. It tricks them into thinking they're doing fine, while underneath, they're digging themselves deeper into a hole. Another hidden cost of debt is the mental and emotional toll. Living under constant payments creates stress, anxiety, and even shame. You might look successful on the outside, driving a nice car or living in a big house, but if it's all financed. 8, you're carrying the weight of knowing it's not truly yours. That weight can crush your confidence and keep you from making bold moves with your life. 48, debt isn't just financial, it's psychological. It lingers in the back of your mind, whispering that you're not free, that you're stuck, and that you're working just to stay afloat. Escaping the trap of debt requires a shift in perspective. You have to stop seeing it as normal and start seeing it as an enemy. Not all debt is created equal. There's a difference between debt used for investing in something that grows and debt used to buy something that loses value. But most people don't make that distinction. They finance depreciating items like cars, gadgets, or vacations and end up paying for them long after the joy is gone. That's the definition of financial slavery. To get out, you need urgency. You need to treat paying off debt as a top priority, attacking it with every extra dollar until you're free. The truth is, debt is not your friend, no matter how convenient it feels in the moment. It's a trap disguised as opportunity, and the longer you stay in it, 8, the harder it becomes to climb out. Understanding how it works is the first step to breaking free, and once you do, you'll never look at borrowing the same way again. Saving money is important, but saving alone will never make you wealthy. That's the hard truth most people don't realize until it's too late. For decades, we've been told that if we just put money in a savings account and keep it safe, we'll be financially secure. But the world has changed, and so has the value of money. Inflation eats away at savings year after year, making every dollar worth less tomorrow than it is today. A savings account might make you feel safe, but in reality, it's just a parking spot. It doesn't take you anywhere. Investing, on the other hand, is what multiplies your money. It's what turns years of effort into real wealth. And it's the reason why the wealthy keep getting wealthier while savers get left behind. The problem with saving is that it's linear. You put in money, it stays there. And maybe it grows by a tiny fraction thanks to interest, but the growth is so small that it barely matters. If you save on 10 Zellos and your bank gives you 1% interest, at 8, that's only $100 a year. That's not growth. That's crumbs. Meanwhile, inflation might be 5%, which means the real value of your money is going down. In simple terms, saving protects your money from disappearing, but it doesn't grow it. 8. And if your money isn't growing, you're losing time and opportunity. Investing is different because it taps into the power of compounding. When you invest, your money starts working for you. It earns returns, and then those returns earn more returns. Over time, this snowball effect is what creates exponential growth. Take that same 10 Zao and put it into an investment averaging 7 to 10% a year, and suddenly you're not just getting $100, you're seeing hundreds or even thousands pile up every year. Leave it there for a decade or two, and it can turn into tens of thousands without you lifting a finger. That's the power of compounding, and it's why investing beats saving every single time. Another reason investing wins is because it allows you to own assets that grow in value instead of just holding cash. Assets like stocks, real estate, or businesses appreciate over time and produce income. When you save, you're holding on to money that just sits there. When you invest, you're buying a piece of something that works for you day and night. Stocks grow as companies grow. Real estate rises in value and can provide rent. Businesses expand and pay dividends. These assets not only keep up with inflation, but usually outpace it by a wide margin, which means your wealth isn't just preserved, it's multiplying. Saving also keeps you in a mindset of scarcity. It's about protecting what you have, not growing it. Investing, on the other hand, puts you in a mindset of opportunity. It shifts your thinking from how do I not lose to how do I multiply. That shift is critical because it forces you to look at the long game. It teaches patience, 8, discipline, and the ability to take calculated risks. Saving might feel safe in the short term, but it's risky in the long term because it guarantees you'll fall behind. Investing might feel risky in the short term, but in the long term, it's the safest path to financial freedom. Of course, investing comes with ups and downs. Markets rise and fall, real estate values fluctuate, businesses have good years and bad years. But history shows that over the long run, investments grow. The people who stay patient and consistent always come out ahead. The people who stick to saving, on the other hand, find themselves with a pile of cash that buys less and less every year. That's why understanding the difference between saving and investing is so important. Saving is for emergencies and short-term needs. Investing is for building wealth and creating freedom. The bottom line is this: if you want to be financially secure, you can't just save, you have to invest. Saving will keep you afloat, but investing will move you forward. Saving might protect you today, but investing will provide for you tomorrow. Once you realize that your money has the potential to work harder than you ever could, you stop relying on saving alone and start building real wealth through investing.